So right now, we seem to be at a point in the housing market where perhaps it's stabilised a bit, or perhaps it's increasing slowly in terms of pricing. And there's a whole lot of factors at play. Interest rates, changing government policy around land development, tax changes, and a lot of these factors sort of play against each other. I just wondered, what is your view on where the housing market is heading, in the short term over the next year, and also in the longer term, say over the next 10 years?
So if you look at, let's have a look at the real long term
Hmm.
sort of horizon. Yeah, we've got house prices to income at the moment, depending on which part of New Zealand, the number's different. Yeah, Queenstown's obviously off into La La Land, the stratosphere. But across New Zealand, the number's around 7 to 7.5. Yeah, which is still right up there in regard to it's not what you call affordable. Yeah, so I think there's a reasonable long-term objective. What we'd like to aspire to is to have that ratio coming down over time. Now that does not mean that house prices move down. It means house prices move up at a slower rate relative to incomes. So if we can get income growth of say 4 to 4.5%, and house price growth of say 3 to 4%, that's probably not a bad outcome over the next sort of 10 years in regard to gradually making the market slightly more affordable. In the near term, there's real tension, because we've got a whole lot of migrants into New Zealand, and that on the face of it adds to demand for housing, although it looks like it's adding to demand for rental housing as opposed to the owner-occupied sort of stock. The market now seems to be what we call back in equilibrium. House prices dropped about 15%. We've seen incomes move up over the past couple of years. So buyers are a little bit more comfortable, and vendors just needed to be realistic with where they're pricing. So the market's in a reasonable spot at the moment. People are saying, oh, it's got to strengthen. I'm not a believer in that. I don't think the Reserve Bank will let the housing market strengthen. Why? If house prices are off to the races, that's not consistent with getting inflation down. So housing market moves up, odds are the official cash rate will need to move up on the other side to make sure that reins it in. I don't think the market is going to be extraordinarily soft over the next 12 to 24 months, even though interest rates, the effect of them, are still working their way into the system. We just seem to be in this sort of wobbly sort of market where the vendors are a bit prickly and the buyers are a little bit prickly, which is probably not a bad place to be.